Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're going to skip right past all the flashy marketing hype and take a microscopic journey straight into the human cell. We are zeroing in on the exact biological mechanisms of how specific compounds actually alter your cellular machinery. And we're focusing on two absolute pillars of human health: cellular energy production and DNA repair pathways. So, let's just dive right in, shall we? Have you ever actually wondered why fatigue sets in as we age, even when we feel like we're doing everything right? Why recovery takes longer, or why your brain just feels, a little cloudier than it did a decade ago. It's incredibly frustrating. But the answer isn't just, well, we're getting older. The answer is deeply mechanical, and it's happening at a microscopic level that we can't even see. The absolute truth of the matter is that biological aging and the whole decline of your internal cellular engine starts years, sometimes decades, before you actually feel the physical effects. You definitely don't feel the exact moment your cells start struggling to produce energy, and you for sure don't feel the microscopic accumulation of DNA damage. By the time you actually notice that lack of energy, the underlying biological decline has already been snowballing for years. All right, Section 1, Fueling the Cellular Engine. Okay, to really understand energy, we gotta talk about ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. This is literally the fundamental fuel molecule that every single cell in your body runs on. Whether a muscle is contracting during a heavy workout or a neuron is firing in your brain while you try to focus on a complex problem, your cells are actively burning up ATP. And when that ATP runs low, your performance just drops right off a cliff.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Enter creatine. Most people just think of creatine as some bulky bodybuilding supplement, right? But listen to the actual biology here. Creatine acts as a biological battery recycler. When your cell depletes its ATP, creatine is right there to rapidly donate a phosphate group and rebuild that ATP almost instantly. It's like having a rapid charger for your cells, meaning more sustained output from your muscles and, absolutely crucial, your brain, especially when you're dealing with mental fatigue.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates why where you get your fuel matters so much. Traditional foods, like desiccated beef organs, liver, kidney, heart, are vastly superior for cellular energy. They deliver heavy-hitting components like CoQ10 to drive energy, and heme iron to fuel red blood cells, in formats your body immediately recognizes and absorbs. Compare that to synthetic vitamins or plant-based forms, which, well, the human body just converts them really poorly. Think about it. Our great-grandparents didn't eat organ meats to optimize their health. They just ate them as food, naturally feeding their cellular engines the most bioavailable fuel on the planet. Moving on to Section 2, the Master Energy Thermostat. So this brings us to AMPK. Think of this incredibly powerful enzyme as literally the master energy thermostat for your entire system. When this thermostat is dialed in correctly, your body efficiently manages energy. But for a lot of people out there dealing with stubborn weight or insulin resistance, this specific biological machinery is unfortunately malfunctioning. So what do? Well, this is where a specific plant alkaloid called berberine comes in. By activating AMP, berberine essentially switches that thermostat back on, signaling your cells to become significantly more sensitive to insulin. The immediate result? It actively pulls glucose right out of your bloodstream and forces it directly into your cells, where it can actually be burned for energy instead of just being stored away. It's a prime example of optimizing cellular energy production right at the enzyme level. Section 3, Rebuilding the DNA Blueprint. Okay, now that our cellular energy is flowing, let's zoom into the nucleus. Your body relies on a highly vital coenzyme called NAD+. Every single cell depends on this stuff. It is the core communication tool your body uses to restore the signaling pathways required to repair damaged DNA and maintain youthful cellular function. Without enough NAD+, that cellular damage simply goes unfixed. But here is the invisible catch. 50%, literally half. By the time you hit your 40s, your natural NAD+ levels have dropped by roughly 50%. And remember what we said earlier, you don't feel this drop immediately. The decline starts much earlier, causing DNA damage to accumulate quietly year after year until one day you suddenly notice the very real signs of biological aging. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great, I'll just swallow an NAD+ supplement and be done with it. Actually, scratch that, you can't. The NAD+ molecule is simply too massive to survive your digestive tract intact. So how do we fix it? We use NMN. NMN is a much smaller precursor molecule that your gut can easily absorb. Taking NMN is literally like handing your body a pile of raw materials directly on the job site, allowing your cells themselves to build NAD+ and turn those crucial DNA repair pathways back on. All right, Section 4, shielding cells from damage. As noted in our source material, hitting optimal micronutrient levels to protect your newly repaired cells using just raw vegetables is, well, it's physically unrealistic for a normal human diet. You just couldn't chew through the sheer volume of spinach and kale required on a daily basis. And this is exactly why highly concentrated supergreens matter at a microscopic level. It's not just about eating a few veggies, it's about sheer concentrated density. So what does all that massive density actually do for you? The phytonutrients and chlorophyll packed into these high-quality greens actively neutralize oxidative stress right at the cellular level. This directly translates to minimizing the cumulative damage to your DNA with every passing day. Plus, the digestive enzymes in these blends ensure your gut lining is actually healthy enough to absorb all these nutrients in the first place. Section 5. Optimizing blood flow and oxygen. So, all this cellular machinery needs oxygen to run efficiently, right? Which leads to this absolutely fascinating biological chain reaction. When you consume dietary nitrates, like the ones found in beetroot, the bacteria on your tongue convert them into nitrites. These travel into your bloodstream and become nitric oxide gas. This gas then tells the smooth muscle tissue in your blood vessels to just relax. The physical result? Your blood vessels literally widen. This process directly lowers blood pressure and drastically increases oxygen delivery right to your tissues, totally supercharging the cellular energy production we were talking about earlier. Which brings us to Section 6, optimizing your internal biology. So, what is the big takeaway from all this? True wellness isn't about chasing some vague, undefined feeling of vitality. It is highly mechanical. It's about giving your cells the exact biological tools they need to thrive. It's using creatine and bioavailable beef organs to ramp up ATP energy. It's leveraging berberine to calibrate your AMPK energy thermostat. It's utilizing NMN to rebuild NAD+ so your DNA repair pathways can actually do their job. And it's deploying the phytonutrients and supergreens to build an ongoing shield against oxidative stress. Which leaves us with one final, deeply personal thought to consider as we wrap up this explainer. Based on everything we've explored today, from your cellular energy production to your DNA repair pathways, what specific cellular machinery in your own body might be running on empty right now? And more importantly, what are you going to do